Now you could easily use corrugated cardboard for this. It would be fine. The idea is that you want to lift your negatives away from your light source if your light source is a tablet, an iPad, or some kind of a tablet. Otherwise, the negatives are, if they're close to the source of the light, the actual light source, the pixelations of the light source show in the matrix of the photograph that you're scanning. So I had the styrofoam handy, so I used the styrofoam. If I didn't have the styrofoam handy, I would use a top of a corrugated cardboard box. Maybe build a couple little legs so I could stand it up, so it'd give it some, an inch breach uh, above the light source. And then what I did was I had a sheet of transparency paper. I cut it in half, and then I don't know if I cut a couple little strips off the edge. So I had these extra little strips here. I taped the box up so that it wouldn't pill. And then I just taped the plastic to the top of the box that I built. You could actually, in place of the overhead transparency paper, you could actually just use a sheet of glass. Since our goal is to just raise the negative away from the light source, you could use a piece of glass, like from a small picture frame. You could even use a picture frame and just take the back out and make this whole thing work if you could tape the glass into the frame so it doesn't drop out. And that would be probably just enough of a gap to make it work. But then the key to getting this to work is taping these little strips down on the edge. I call them the tie downs. And these little strips, they're taped at the top, at the bottom of each side. And that allows you to slide your film underneath them. It's just like a little belt loop. So you can slide your film underneath, and that helps hold the film really flat and holds it down to the surface. I've tried in the past. I used to have a negative carrier for the darkroom that had two sheets of glass. So you'd actually put the film on a sheet of glass, and there'd be another sheet of glass that laid on top of it. The problem was when you sandwich two sheets of glass really close together with film in between, you start to pick up these weird artifacts on the film itself. You get almost a Moriarty pattern, like a Fresnel pattern that occurs. So I don't like putting glass over the top of the negative in this instance. Also, if the negative or the glass is dusty or has fingerprints, they show up on your scan. So just clipping it at the edge and leaving the film open. And I do like the transparency behind, because I think it helps to soften the light coming through. And then I was experimenting the last few days with other film scanning apps. There's Kodak Film Scanner, and there's one called Picto, and they're exactly the same app with two different names. There's another one that's really highly rated that's Android only, so I haven't had a chance to test that one out. But you're going to scan the film using your phone's camera. You could scan the film using a digital camera, but I'm not sure you would be able to focus closely enough. I think the picture would be too small unless you had a macro focusing lens. But so for now we're using a phone or some sort of device camera to scan the film, and then I'm using that. Film box. Let me double check here. I believe it's film box that I'm using. Yeah, it is. It's film box. There's film box, and there's also the film lab, and I'm happier with the film box. So this photograph is a scan, and I am really pleased. I didn't do any messing around. This is just the scan. I didn't alter it. I didn't run it through Lightroom, and there's really nice detail. There's shadow detail, the actual picture detail. There was a barn and there was a chandelier hanging in the barn. You can see the light. You can actually see a little bit. It didn't really reproduce. It's not reproducing on the screen, but you can see a little bit of the interior of the barn as well in this photograph. So I'm thrilled with the way this scan is working.